5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the weather briefing for the Fort Lauderdale OCR regatta. So just a little housekeeping. If you guys have questions as we go through, I think there'll be a couple minutes at the end that you can ask some questions. You can type them into the chat and Brittany will make sure they make it into a place where I can see it on my end. Otherwise, yeah, we'll jump right in and get started. So we'll start with kind of a big overview of the next several days of what the weather pattern is, what's happening. And then we'll go into a little more detail on each day forecast. All right. So let's start out with the big picture. So what we're looking at here is a model forecast showing us our surface pressure, so where the highs and lows are, and then the colors are showing us precipitation. So green is rain, blue is snow up in the north, and we are obviously looking down more at the south. So this is what the weather map kind of looks like for this morning. Basically, we have a big low pressure center up in the Midwest in the north. It has a cold front, which is this big green line that's extending down all the way into the Gulf of Mexico. So this is the cold front that's north of us. And there's also a very small front. I'll show you on another map a little bit later. There's another small stationary front where these green blobs are down south of the Keys. So we're kind of in the middle of these two fronts here, right? So there's the cold front to the north, and then there's the stationary one here. And we're in this like very, very small area of higher pressure between those two. So I'm going to move the map forward and show you what it looks like going through the next few days. And then, like I said, we'll go into some detail. All right, so this is this morning. I'm going to scroll forward to this afternoon and this evening. So you can see the front is basically moving to the southeast. As we go into tomorrow morning, the front actually pushes all the way across Florida. It's not a super strong front, but it will at least cross Fort Lauderdale and move offshore. So chance for just a couple little sprinkles with this, but I don't think we're going to get a ton of rain. So this is tomorrow. Tomorrow we are basically behind this cold front, all right? So it's going to be shifting off to the east. Tomorrow into the afternoon, there is basically some high pressure to the west that is going to be pushing in. So we should have some decent wind tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a minute. Going forward into Sunday, we see that whole system continues to push further away and it's offshore. We're not so worried about it. And by Sunday morning, this is Sunday morning at 7 a.m., you can see we are basically back under a high pressure. So there is a little high over Florida, and we're already looking towards the next front that's coming. Sunday's kind of a transition day between high pressure and the next front, okay? So Sunday, basically, we're looking at this little high pressure in the Gulf that's going to be coming towards us on Monday, bringing another little front, all right? So Monday, we then go into this high pressure pushing across for another small front, but it's not like the first one. So it's not really rain. It's more just a change in wind direction and a little bit of a push of some wind. But overall, this period that we're looking at here, apart from tomorrow where the breeze is up a little bit, it's generally a light wind period, okay? So these fronts that are coming through are fairly weak. So we're not quite getting the full effect of winter time in South Florida. So, all right, so that's kind of the big picture. We'll look at the maps again in a minute, but I just want to show you what's going on right now at the moment. This is our satellite picture. So we can see the sun is just starting to come up on our on our satellite here. But we do have a lot of clouds around. Okay, so what we can see is this cold front that's over the panhandle. That's this line of clouds up here. And we also see that even down across the middle of Florida and down South Florida where we are, these blue patches that you see here are low clouds. And then when the sun comes up, you can see it shifts, it turns white. So the visible satellite is showing you that there are clouds there. So let me see if we can just freeze it on this pane. So yeah, now that the sun's up, we can see there is a good bit of clouds over our area. And it should be mostly cloudy today. If we look at the radar, which is showing us rain, we see there's the front up there in the panhandle. Okay, so we're not worrying too much about that till tomorrow. That's what's coming tomorrow. But if we zoom in a little, we can see that today offshore over the Gulf Stream and the Bahamas, there are some showers, but they are generally moving to the east and will be moving away. All right, so these are all kind of moving eastward. And we have a northwest flow here. So we are basically not going to have too many showers after this point. There might have been a sprinkle or two early this morning, but that's kind of pushed offshore now. All right, let's take a look at the wind observations for right now this morning. I'm just going to do a refresh. And mostly a north to northwest wind across the area. All right, so it's fairly light. If we're like a bit offshore, it's a little bit stronger. So we can see down here in Miami, it's basically 6 to 9 knots or so from north or northwest. If we zoom in a little bit to where we're sailing, basically our best observation point is this Dania Pier, which is just sticking out a little bit off the coast here. So it's quite light there at the moment. Now, keep in mind, these wind directions are protected from Fort Lauderdale city, right? So the wind is coming from the northwest, and these observations are probably showing a little bit lower than what the wind actually is. So as soon as you get a little further away from the coast, the wind speeds are probably going to be a little stronger. We see that down here in Miami, where it's 8 knots at Government Cut. And at Fowey, which of course is much higher up in the atmosphere, it's 9 or 10 knots at least. So not super strong wind, but it looks like it's been up to 12 at Fowey at times. So the gradient wind is there. It's a northwest gradient. And basically our best wind is going to be here in the morning time. So I'll talk to you a little bit about what we think is going to happen today as we go through the day. But here's Dania Pier. Here's what we've had so far this morning. It's been quite light, but as you can see, really up and down, as is typical with the offshore wind at this location. I'm just going to jump over to the high resolution forecast, the HRR, which I'll show you graphically in a minute, but you can see overall our wind speeds today are basically under 10 knots until we get to the later part of the evening. So not super windy today. So let's take a little closer look at what we expect to happen today. And then I promise we'll get towards the next few days here. So this is a map showing us surface, right? So these are our isobars, and remember that wind always flows from high pressure to low pressure. So we always want to kind of keep in mind where the high pressure centers are, because the wind is going to flow kind of outward from them. So right now, this is what it looks like as of this morning at 8 a.m., so maybe about an hour ago. Okay, so there's that front we were talking about. We can see that the front has that big kink in the isobars. We are down here, like I said, we're kind of in between those two features. Now, if I go forward a little bit, this is 2 hours later. So this is for about 10 a.m. And as we go towards the middle of the day, you can see the wind barbs over Miami have shifted a little bit. Let's see if I can move my mouse without it freaking out. Yeah, it doesn't like it. So I have to hold my mouse there. But basically, if you look at the wind barbs close to Fort Lauderdale, they've gone a little bit into the west, right? So that means we have some higher pressure to the west of us. And you can see even for the later afternoon on this last frame, the isobars have kinked around Fort Lauderdale, meaning there's some higher pressure to our west and southwest. Okay. Basically, all that means is we're going to have a shift today, the winds from the northwest into the west and southwest, right? That's what we're expecting, although the wind speeds will be pretty light. So I think there's a time period today, it's going to be a little bit variable of what we could see. All right, so I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you here. I'm going to go over to the detailed forecast and we'll talk a little bit about some details over the next couple of days. Okay, so this is our weather map for today. Again, this is just a different version of it, but I like it because it shows you our high pressure, you know, our real small high pressure that's over Florida. It shows us this weak front down here, and then it shows us our cold front across the panhandle. So that's where we're at today. And here is the more detailed forecast for today, right? So pretty light, already mentioned that. Basically, we're going to have northwest winds backing into the west and the southwest. All right. So we start off with 300 to 330. We're at 4 to 9 knots or so first thing this morning. Basically, it's going to hang out around this direction through 10 or 11 a.m. And then it's pretty quickly going to go down. So our wind speeds are going to drop after 10 a.m. You can see it goes down to like 2 to 6. It may even be 0 to 4 at times. So the middle part of the day is going to be rough. Okay. So midday, we get a big lull and it probably backs into the west around midday. All right. That's when it gets fluky. There may be an hour or 2 hours that it's kind of tough to have a steady direction and it's tough to have good racing maybe at that point. But we were looking for shifty up and down winds. It's going to be pretty visual out there looking for pressure. All right. Once we get into the 2 o'clock time frame, I think the winds will have backed enough into the southwest. So you can see we're going to like a 240 direction. That it will slowly start to build again, right? And it goes into the southwest because remember that high is moving southwest of us. We also have a cold front that's pushing down and the winds tend to be southwest ahead of the cold front. All right, so again, maximum wind speeds today are not high. We're talking max 6 to 8 knots and most of it is at the end of the day. So, you know, the middle time period will be kind of hard. One thing to remember is that it's mostly cloudy, so that also limits the wind speeds. If there are periods where it turns sunny, it means you can expect some kind of a change. Most likely that would mean that the winds actually are going to die a little bit more, okay? The water temperature today it's still fairly warm. It's 73, 74, pretty close to our high temperature for the day. So even if it turns sunny, we're not really expecting a sea breeze to happen. Temperatures are just not great for that. I'm going to show you one more thing on today, and then we'll go forward in time from there. So this is kind of our visual representation of what's going to happen today. This is the high resolution model, HRR, just to give you guys the visual here. So we are right offshore here. This is, I know it's kind of hard to see, but this is the divider between land is to the left here. And then everything to the right on my cursor there is ocean, right? So I'm going to keep my cursor right where kind of we're thinking about sailing. So probably just out here somewhere. Okay, so this is 9 a.m. You can see we've got a northwest wind at 6 knots. 10 a.m. it goes again, basically 6. Once we hit 11 a.m., it's down to 4 from 310. Noontime, it has a little tiny surge, but basically after that, you can see it's getting much lighter. We've got 4s and 5s around here, and this model tends to overdo it a little, so it might be a little lighter than this. You can see it's gone into the west, right? So we've got the left and the dying. And then by 2 o'clock, it's gone southwest. It's still fairly light. We can see that this is the top of the high pressure, right? This is that top of that little high pressure center. So it's 2 to 3 knots way out here, few miles offshore, very close to the shore. It's maybe 5 knots here. So 2, 3 o'clock is when we're looking for maybe the southwest wind to come back up. 5, 6 knots. Again, that's probably our maximum. This is 4 p.m. and the most wind that we've had on the model is about 9 knots from the southwest. All right, so Then when we go into the evening, that southwest is building a little more because the front is coming down, right? So by tomorrow morning, that front will reach us. I can see how far out this goes. This goes into the evening, so you can see it's going to pick up quite a bit tonight from the southwest ahead of the front, and that's as far as we go. All right, so let's take a look at tomorrow. Okay, so that was Friday. So here's tomorrow, right? So the cold front will have pushed offshore, all right, early in the morning, maybe a couple sprinkles, chances for showers early in the morning, but again, not much in the way of showers. It should pretty much push through and turn partly sunny into the afternoon. Okay, so cooler behind the front tomorrow. Our high is only 70, so we're in the 60s for a lot of the day, plus it's cloudy and it's breezier, all right? So a little cooler tomorrow. The winds are generally northwest direction, and you can see we've got much better wind speed, right? So we've got 300 to 320 to start the morning. I think the strongest wind speeds are going to be both early in the morning and then mid to late afternoon, okay? So again, it's northwest direction, so it's up and down. This is probably your higher end is 18 and your lower end is maybe 11 or 12 in the morning. And also a small left trend into the middle part of the day as well. Middle part of the day, we would go a little bit to the left and we decrease just a little bit as things get mixed out. And then into the later part of the afternoon, once the skies turn sunny, we can expect the wind speeds to increase a little bit because we'll have some mixing happening, okay? So the wind speeds are going to depend a lot on the cloud cover. So cloudier skies will probably mean a little bit lower wind speeds. Once the sky is clear into the afternoon, I think we're going to get peaks of sun coming in and out. And anytime it's sunny, we could see the gusts go a bit higher, 16, 18, all right? Yeah, and all of the showers will be pushed offshore, and it should be a nice day tomorrow. All right, so now going forward into Sunday. So Sunday, we kind of regress a little bit as far as wind speed goes. It turns light again. You don't see much happening over Florida at all because basically all of this is just a weak high pressure area, okay? So you can't see it too well on this map, but basically it's not great because we're going to have really light winds, I think, on Sunday. Not the best wind direction for light winds either. It's that northwest to north direction. It's also cooler, so we're not expecting sea breeze because we're under that cooler air mass, right? So the high on Sunday is only 68. Again, on and off clouds. And generally this north direction, it may go more into the northwest or west northwest into the afternoon. I think our best shot for breeze on Sunday is probably going to be in the morning, but we may have another late afternoon increase. But again, the middle of the day is not the best time as the gradient kind of, the land heats up and meets the gradient, and we lose a lot of our wind speed in the middle of the day. All right, so it is sunny to start the morning, but that also means the high pressure is right over us, and there's no gradient and no sea breeze to fill in. So we kind of have to wait for the high to move offshore a bit. Then we'll start to get a little bit more push of gradient into the afternoon, all right? And so remember I said that Sunday into Monday is when we're looking for that next really weak front to come through. So that's what we're looking at here. This is the forecasted surface map for Monday morning. It shows the cold front is not quite to South Florida yet. It's still kind of across the middle of the state. Again, this is a weak front. There's not a lot of forcing behind it. So we're not going to notice like the same wind speed we had behind the last front, okay? It's mainly just a new high pressure center coming in. So our new high pressure weak front arrives. We've still got northwest wind, at least in the morning. The whole wind speed forecast, especially for the afternoon, is going to depend highly on how fast this high is moving, okay? If the high is moving really slow, we're going to stay in the northwest wind pretty much all day, although it's fairly light, all right? If the high moves really fast and suddenly it's moving across, we may be able to get into a northeast wind, okay? And if we go into a northeast wind, there's, I think, a better chance for a little bit better wind speed if the high is moving quick enough, right? So in the morning, basically, we've got something under 10 knots from the northwest. And then I kind of put a little question mark. Does it stay northwest and does it stay really light? Or does it switch over into the northeast and maybe we get 4 to 9 knots? If we're lucky in the afternoon, late afternoon, it goes 6 to 10. So anyways, that's mostly cloudy on Monday. Again, I think it's partly sunny at times, periods of clouds and sun. And it's all, again, all not that warm. It's 70 or 71 as the high. So still on the cooler side, still not warm enough really for true sea breeze. So we're really counting on the gradient wind to come in for us for this regatta, and hopefully, cross our fingers, we can do that. So I'll open it up now to questions. If you guys have questions that you can type in, I can answer them. If not, I think everyone is pretty much ready to go to the skipper's briefing. So you guys should have the link for going to the skipper's briefing. I'll stay on for a couple minutes and answer questions. Otherwise, thanks for joining in, and good luck racing, everyone. All right, I don't think we have any questions coming in. Seems like everyone is pretty satisfied. So I'll leave it at that, and good luck, and see you guys soon.